Hello, this is Daniel with Peace and Plenty Farms. It's Sunday afternoon, and I like to do my sit out on the front porch, chit chat with you about a prepper's list that I've been working on. We did about 4 items last Sunday. Dumped a lot of information on you. I hope you didn't get overwhelmed. We may do some walk around today also. I have a project I want to show you that I'm thinking about maybe putting on the front burner. We did 4 items last Sunday, so we'll pick up on the 5th item on my list, and that is lamps and tools, battery operated lamps, tools, fans, all those different types of things. You want to try to pick one battery that you will use for all of those items. So if it's like Milwaukee or DeWalt or Ryobi, pick that one line of tools, that particular brand of tools, and stick with it. That way you're using the batteries for projects, whether it's a small skill saw, a drill, a light, a fan, all different types of things, a radio that you can purchase that run off of the same batteries. You don't want 3 or 4 different brands of batteries. Then the batteries are going to be laying around and they're not going to be getting fully charged and used, and they're going to go bad. And so you might as well have something that you're using and would benefit you in any type of a emergency situation, power outage, tree falls down across the power lines, it snows 2 feet, or there's flooding and the power's out, hurricanes, all these types of things that we've experienced. Just to have a little bit of preparedness on that. So lamps, fans, tools, all use the same battery. I try to stick with DeWalt just because that's what I used in construction. But Milwaukee has an incredible line. DeWalt has Ryobi. They offer all types of things. And get yourself a radio and a fan and a flashlight that runs off of that same battery. That way you'll be prepared. You can get little tiny vacuum cleaners that run off of the same thing. So that's what I have to say about tools and batteries. We're looking at the Cub Cadet sickle mower that I finished this week. It's got everything's done on it except for the dual wheel spacers, and these still need to be put on. And I'm just waiting on the bolts for those and weld the spacers together. I've got them all cut and drilled and ground, everything ready just to weld them together, and then that dual wheel project will be done. I want the dual wheels for cutting around the pond and the creek and things like that, so that the tractor doesn't, it's kind of steep around the pond and around the creek. I don't want it to slip off and into the creek. And when I'm plowing, it really is beneficial to have the dual wheels then. Number 6, depending on your situation, you may want to think about a tent. Some people are in a bug out situation where they need to think about preparing to travel. So, having a tent ahead of time, just a small 2-person tent, could be pretty handy down the road. You can pick them up at a yard sale real cheap. So keep an eye out for one of those. Everybody, if you go on YouTube, there is just an enormous amount of people that talk about guns and ammo. And if you're not a guns and ammo person, you don't have one, you don't know anything about them, just focus in on one particular gun that will give you the security that you need. But I would just say about the guns, first, to practice. Buy a gun, get very familiar with it. Know where with your eyes closed, you can pull that gun out and load it and turn the safety on and off, and that gun inside and out. It doesn't do you any good to buy it and put it in a drawer and expect to know how to safely use it in a crisis. This reminds me of a story. I was into drag racing probably 15, 20 years ago. I ran a 7-second car in the 8th mile, and I was building a 5-second car, but never quite finished it. The cost of it got to be so expensive. But I was driving that back half Camaro with a 454 big block in it, 2-speed power glide, 9-inch forward rear back half car. And I was on the starting line, and the light changed, and I let go of the trans brake, and that car just lunged forward and backfired and blew gasoline out of the engine all over the fiberglass hood, and the hood caught on fire. And the way the car, it was a cheap old piece of junk car, death trap is what I should have called it. The smoke and all that actually immediately filled the inside of that drag car, and I had a fire extinguisher, but there was so much smoke in that car, and I had never practiced reaching for the fire extinguisher. I just mounted it, and that was it. And boy, I realized at that moment, if I should have practiced closing my eyes and reaching for the fire extinguisher and being able to release it from the hanger and pull the pin and be able to operate it with your eyes closed, because sometimes you're in a smoke-filled situation. I don't know why I thought of that, but that's sort of what, with the guns. You get into a panic situation, you need to be able to safely pull that gun and operate the safety without having to look at it, because you're going to be looking at the situation that you're in, and you're going to have to be assessing it, whether you're going to take somebody's life. And keep in mind, I'm in Virginia, we have capital laws here, and you cannot shoot somebody that's just on your property, robbing you or anything like that. Your life has to be in danger, and you have to have given them the opportunity to flee. In other words, you have to have some sort of retreat mode, backup mode. If you're aggressing on that person and you shoot them, you could be tried for murder. So be sure that they've backed you into a corner and you're fearing for your life before you use your weapon, because you're responsible for that bullet once it leaves the chamber. You're responsible for what is behind them. So you've got to think about where that bullet's going to go and who might be affected, because you're going to be responsible for anybody else that it comes in contact with. And I strongly recommend having the USA insurance. You can pay, I think it's $10 or something a month, $5, I don't know. Take the class, they give you a break on it. You have a drawing for a free gun if you go to the class, and you can have a lawyer on retainer. And if you get in any kind of trouble where you could bump somebody with your car, or you could hit them with your fist, or maybe you happen to pick up a stick and try to fight somebody off, the U.S. Law Shield will step in and defend you, and you don't have to answer to the police for anything. So if you're going to carry, get a concealed to carry permit in Virginia, and check your local laws and practice, and make sure you're covered with insurance. So that's number 7. That's kind of a heavy duty one. And we go right into number 8, which is just simple can openers, manual can openers, a good quality one. These cheap ones that you get from Walmart or whatever, they just don't last. You need an American made, good steel quality can opener. Sugar. A lot of people want to store and keep sugar set aside. I would recommend honey crystals. They actually store better than most of your sugar, and the honey crystals was actually better for you. So lean towards using and storing honey crystals. Well, that's 4 or 5 items for today. The Cub Cadet here in the front yard needs a battery. I'm probably just going to buy a new one tomorrow. and her Cub Cadet is around the corner over here without a gas, and the battery's down on it. And my Cub Cadet mower is way up on the other side over here. It's needs a battery, and she said it's let her down or something, so I've got to get that out of the backyard and hers out of the side yard and the sickle mower out of the front yard. So that's going to be the first thing tomorrow morning. And got some projects lined up for tomorrow. But let's walk down, and I'm taking a look at a project that I'm thinking about doing and let you all know about it, and I want you to tell me what you think. Okay, so I wanted to walk down here and show you this little area that I've been working on over the last couple of years. This tank right here is my black soldier fly tea that we get from the fodder house, where I've got the black soldier fly in there. And so I fill this all the way up, and then in the summertime I drain it out right here into a 5-gallon bucket, and we put that on the strawberries and on the garden and plants, the squash and the tomatoes and things. So you can see right over here, this area, this is the stumps that I pulled. I pulled all these up by hand with a come along, but I cleared this area right in through here. You can see how it's kind of cleared right here. This is my broody chicken coop right here, and we bring the silkies over here when they're in the mood to brood some eggs. There she is right there. So she will sit on the red eggs. Let me just peek. See right there? Those are from the reds. Now, Big Red, he hasn't been doing his due diligence here lately. So she only hatched one last time, and we'll see how she does this time. She's due on the 21st. So we've got one more week to go on her. But this little area right here, oh my goodness, I forgot about this wood stove sitting back here. This is the wood stove I was going to put inside the greenhouse. Maybe we'll put it in the aquaponics, I don't know. But there's the old stumps I pulled up. I cleared this area out right here. What I'm thinking about doing, you can see this is the backside row house right along here of the rabbits. That's one row, 50 foot long, 12 cages in there, about 4 foot long on each cage. And what I was thinking about doing is doing another 50 foot run down here on the right, and another 50 foot run down here on the left with a little shelter over it, and that way I could walk right down the middle. And I would put in little roofing underneath of there, so I could just wash it off and get the tea liquid off of the rabbits there. Build a system where I can get where I can wash the rabbit manure down right there. I have that on the condos. I'll have to show that to you another time. But I don't know, this was a back burner project over here that I had set aside. But I was thinking maybe while it's super hot this summer, this is middle of June right now. This is in the woods right here. I could work on this project right here and get this maybe started, maybe get it done. But another 24 cages would be nice to have back here. So I've got the wire. I've shown you my wire station. I've got a lot of wire over there, so something to think about. Well, thank you so much for watching. Like, share, comment. Sure do appreciate it. Sorry, my phone cut off there, but yeah, I just removed those, and then all the sludge that's in there. Boy, it really was dirty tonight. Golly. So then everything. Then I'll just turn the fresh water on. I think there's one rabbit that must be pooping in there or something, because it's usually not that dirty. But let's get some fresh water in there. Okay, so these two are cleaned out and back in there. I wanted to show you that I bend this piece of wire up out of the way so I can get the gutter out, but then I bend it back down. Otherwise they will escape right through here, and you have to keep the water up in the level high enough to keep them from swimming out. So that's what we do. On to the next one. Alrighty, so winners and losers. I guess when you're videotaping farm life, you've got to put the good and the bad. So here's the rear end I took out of the rear axle I took out of the red Ranger, and I was going to put it in this blue Ranger, but when I got it all torn apart, they are equally as worn out as they can be. So really no sense in changing it out. I'm just going to keep this one here. I did find that one of the springs in the brake was bad, and this brake was dragging. So that's one good thing about it. I'm going to get this this brake fixed. You can see this this piece here. It's got to get fixed. So I'll rob the parts off of this one and get the brakes going, and I'm just going to put it back together. It may actually, speaking of losing, it may actually be the transmission that has the play in it. So this is an automatic, and the Red Ranger right there is manual. So I'll just drive this automatic, and if it gives out on me, I know it'll be a little extra work, but I think I'll put the manual transmission in this little Ranger right here. So that was a fail. I thought it was the rear end. It looks to me like it could be the transmission, so we'll just drive it until it drops. I've got a tow bar. I've got a tow bar that mounts to the front of this type bumper, and I may just take and mount it on here. That way, if it gives out on me somewhere, I can just I already have the mounts on there and just put the pins in on each side and tow it home. So we're just going to drive it till it drops. And I believe I'm going to need to change the fuel injectors. So going to put that on the list, but not going to start that until after I get the Toyota running and I finish the last little bit of to do things on the K30. Well, y'all have a good evening. That should wrap it up for today. Thank you for watching.